welcome to my channel. I am the work wife. My name is Rachel, and happy hump day. We're halfway there. We're almost there. I really should stop doing this because I do it every day. Happy Monday, happy Friday. I'm just gonna stop. I'll try. It's a corny thing that I do. Anyway, today's video is going to be about expectations. And it's going to be around the expectations we have about ourselves and the image that we project to other people. Primarily around the workplace and how it almost can get us stuck. And I'm going to speak from personal experience. But before I jump into expectations, I am a workplace and mindset coach with nearly 20 years corporate experience. Navigating my way through some toxic environments and out of those environments. Toxic bosses, coworkers, and so on. So if you're dealing with a situation or you know someone dealing with a toxic or difficult situation daily at your workplace, feel free to email me at theworkwifellc@gmail.com or message me on Instagram or TikTok, and I'd love to talk to you. So, expectations. So, expectations of ourselves when it comes to a career choice. Is it something that just because you know how to do well, you're just going to keep on doing, but do you really enjoy doing it? Are you continuing in that job because of others' expectations of you? Do they have you kind of pigeonholed in that role, and so that's their image of you, and thus it makes you afraid to break out of that? For me, just on a personal note, I have been in the corporate world for a very long time, as I said, nearly 20 years, and I am done with it. I'm done with it. I'm very good at, or I've become good at, communicating within the corporate workplace, understanding what people's needs are. But unfortunately, I have become quite fluent in the language of bullshit. That's just the plain truth. A lot of it is bullshit. And again, my personal opinion based on my experiences with some big companies where they say one thing and they do the complete opposite. You talk about those mission statements and discussions about inclusivity and kindness and compassion and understanding. And I've seen everything but that within the corporate workplace. And I'm not going to get into why that is. The reason for that, it's a geopolitical discussion that I'm not going to get into. I can just speak to my experiences with it. But here's the thing I'm trying to say is that because I've become so good at it, I've continued to do it. I mean, even in the course of launching my own, the work wife, and trying to do what I enjoy, which is using the knowledge that I've gained is to bolster people's confidence and their mindset within minefields like this. It's been quite the journey to do this, even to start this, right? For many years I resisted it because I had expectations of myself. My family had expectations. I grew up in a family that believed in you put your 20, 25, 30 years in at its particular job, even if you're miserable, because that's how my parents grew up. They didn't understand changing jobs or following your passion. It's almost like, screw your passion. You'll have time for that after you retire. But, with each new generation, the retirement age, the so-called retirement age seems to get younger and younger because people are like, no, I'm going to follow my passion now. Why should I be miserable in doing what I do just because I know how to do it and do it well? That's the key. And in terms of expectations, even interviewing, trying to break out of the mold that you've found yourself in, people don't want to hear it. It's a catch-22. You want to get experience in a completely new field, but they want to see the experience that you're trying to interview for. But you're like, dude, I don't have the experience. I'm trying to change careers. It seems almost programmed or in order for you to try to change careers and change the image of yourself for the better, it seems almost insurmountable, because people are determined. If you've had 20 years, 10, 15, 20 years in a certain field, why would you change now? Because you want to, right? Another example is I'm really good in interviews. I can intuit what someone's looking for, like the question underneath the question. So I'm good at that. I'm good at answering the questions. I'm not, as you can tell from my demeanor sometimes, I'm not the most super bubbly person. but I am, I am sufficiently animated for interviews because I know how to interview. I interview people. I've recruited people myself. And I know what to look for in terms of that fit, in terms of personality and things like that, right? So anyway, I'm good in the interview process. But just because I'm good on, since now a lot of interviews are done on video these days, just because I'm good on video doesn't mean I want to continue to be on video. When if I get the job and they were like, oh, we want to see your face. Well, maybe I don't want to be on camera because my dominant state is actually an introvert, which not many people know because they just see my personality and they assume that I'm animated and, I could just talk to anybody and I'm just so personable that, of course, I'm going to be the same way when I actually start the job. And that's not something you can necessarily say. In fact, someone told me, well, you're so great in interviews and so personable. We expect that you're just going to dive into everything. And I'm like, no, I just want to do what I want to do, or what the job required of me. Doesn't mean I want to start tap dancing on stage. But this is what I mean by expectations. It's like people take one aspect that they see of you or that you choose to present to the world, and then they run with it and say, well, just because you showed me this, then you have to be that. And how do you navigate that when you know you're being pigeonholed? How do you navigate that when family and friends expect something of you because they've seen it for years? And you're tired of holding that mask in place. And I don't see mask as like a bad thing, like you're hiding. But not everyone gets to see every single aspect of you, nor should they necessarily, unless you're really close to them and you trust them with that. So, just speaking of myself, one way to change up those expectations is to start doing things differently, because after all, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So in my case, I said, well, why do you keep going for the same jobs if you know that the same thing's going to happen? If you know that no matter how much they tell you it's a family here, no matter how much they tell you we're so close-knit, no matter how much they tell you, oh, you're just going to be doing X, Y, Z, and when you get there, they're going to give you A, B, C. Why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep expecting a different result? They're on their best behavior in the interview process, too. They're not going to tell you in the interview, girl, it sucks here. They're not going to say that. They're trying to get you in the door because they need someone to do the work. So I had to really take a hard look at myself and say, well, I know this. It's easier. It's easier to get this job because I've done it before. And then I would get upset when it would just turn out to be worse than the last thing. I'm like, well, time to change up the pattern. It sounds pat, but nothing's going to change until you change you first. So everybody keeps seeing me the same way. Well, do something different. Dare to be different. Dare to say something different. Dare to speak up for yourself. If someone says something based on an assumption they've had about you for years, surprise them and say, oh yeah, well, I don't believe that anymore. Oh yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. And let them be shocked. You could do it within a professional setting as well. Well, this is no longer my primary area of interest. What? Well, yeah, I prefer to do this. And if they have a problem with it, then you have to navigate your way out of there. Or find something else within that company that's more aligned with you. But you're not here to be miserable, and you're not here to, just because you've held a certain self-image or allowed people to make expectations or have assumptions of you, or expectations of you for years, the same expectations, that you have to go along to get along. Yes, it's easier, But who is it easier for? Them or you? Because in the end, if you're already feeling that little thing inside telling you this isn't me anymore, maybe it was me 5 years ago, maybe it was me a year ago, but it's not me now. And it's up to you to make that change. It's up to you to disrupt that pattern that they expect of you. So if you've been saying the same thing, doing the same things, making the same jokes, presenting the same image to people, and you're frankly tired of it, then stop. Just stop. So whatever your intuition or heart is telling you to do, start the path of pursuing it. You could keep it private, you could keep it secret. But eventually you're going to have to say, no, this is my path now. I mean, you've been in the corporate world for 20 years and all of a sudden you decide to be a botanist. Or all of a sudden you decide to open a landscaping business. Or all of a sudden you just say, you know what, I'm selling everything, I'm going on the road. And everybody's going to have a different reaction. So what if that's what's calling to you? And I'm not saying be irresponsible about it. That's why I say go in steps. Research. Figure out what it will take in order to completely change the course of your thinking, of your patterns, of your life. You don't have to, go crazy and just say, oh, I'm going to change and everybody's going to have to deal with it. No. If you want to do that, that's fine. If you've reached the point of no return. But there is a way to do it. And I've learned that for myself. To be a certain age that I won't mention. But be at a certain age and think, well, how am I going to change things up now? As the same way you would a few years ago. It's the same process. It's just an illusion in your mind that you think just because you've reached a certain age, if you've done a certain thing a certain amount of years, it's too late. It is never, ever, ever too late, especially to be fulfilled and to be happy and content with your life and to be following the path that calls to you. So if you find yourself at a workplace or in a situation that you've done over and over and over again to the point that it's muscle memory, but it brings you no satisfaction, it may be time for a serious change. And the change has to start with you. Those little inspirations that you get to do things that you then tamp down and say, it's too late for me. That's bullshit. That's crap. It's never too late. Right? So next time you say, oh man, I'd really like to check that out, or I'd really like to take that course, or I'd really like to learn how they do that. That's your opportunity to change your pattern. That's the opportunity to disrupt the expectations that you've had for yourself that you feel trapped by. That's your opportunity to change that up. So those little things that occur to you that inspire you, those are inspirations. That is your intuition telling you, maybe it's time. So stop ignoring those signals. So I hope that this resonated. And if if you're going through something like that, if you're entering, I know with the great resignation that's been going on, a lot of people have been transitioning careers and making huge changes in their lives. So if you're going through something like that, I would love it if you would comment below and let me know how you've navigated that. If you're still trying to navigate that and need some help, feel free to message me. If you like this content, feel free to give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And I'll continue to bring content like this that has to do with, changing up your mindset, building your confidence in order to pursue your goals and your dreams. And, as I said, it's never too late. Age is just a number. So don't let that hold you back. So until next time, stay cool, stay centered, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.